I don't know how we didn't get to this sooner, but let's talk about ThunderCats.
I can talk about ThunderCats anytime.
When it came out, like I was already like deep into He-Man. I had my He-Man collection, had my Star Wars collection, had my G.I. Joes, had my GoBots, had my Transformers, but like ThunderCats was like one too many. Like I didn't, again, like the show is one thing, but for the toys, it was a different scale and stuff. And I'm like, I'm not ready to get on board. And I was starting to get to an age of being like I still continued to buy He-Man figures as those years went on, and I continued to buy like the Star Wars Power of the Force figures, like the not the 90s but the 80s Power of the Force ones that came with a coin, and I continued to buy like G.I. Joes and Transformers, but like the idea of like starting a whole new thing was like too much.
No.
I
love ThunderCats.
Yeah.
And I had so much play. When I thinking about like playing, it was ThunderCats play.
Mm-hmm.
Like the theme song, I would get pumped up and dance around when that song came on.
Yeah, that great song. And just as a musician, I'm sure you can appreciate it. Like it's and some of the great songs are just real simple. And it is like it's like you pick this one key on the piano and you just keep hitting it.
Oh, it's amazing.
ThunderCats are on the move.
I would get
you know, but it works. It gets you going. No, you're right. Great. Like the toys are one thing. Like I couldn't get on board with the toys. It was too, and it brings up an interesting question of like trying to think of like what was the last toy line that I got on board with as a kid before I just kind of like left toys behind completely for like the next bunch of years before you kind of like rediscover them. Like the show. I loved the show. It and that genre, like I love that genre, that He-Man, Thunder the Barbarian, like the sword and sorcery with kind of like futuristic stuff involved, like swords and lasers or whatever.
I can't get enough. You're holding a sword, then you grab your blaster.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like they're riding around in a tank, but then he's also got a sword. I love that. And the He-Man cartoon disappointed. Like I hated the He-Man cartoon from the beginning, but I liked the toys, I liked the mythology, I liked the mythos of like the toys and the mini comics. But then the show, I just didn't like at all. I felt talked down to. But then ThunderCats was
incredible.
Great. It had an edge to it. The story, I loved Mum-Ra. Like Mum-Ra is so great. And like talking about the satanic panic, when Mum-Ra would do his incantation and he'd evoke the ancient spirits of evil, take this decaying form, and Mum-Ra. Like I would like turn it down. Like I'd be scared that I'd like get in trouble if my parents heard that, because it's like it does sound like Satanism 101 or something is going. But he was so badass. He was so cool. I love the mutants. That whole crew, and like the world of it was so great. But I wished that it wasn't cat themed. That was a minus for me. Like the show is so good, the stories are good. It's got this great world. I just wished that they weren't cats. Like,
you know what?
And I know that's a plus for some people, but for me, it was like, I don't like that they're cats.
When I was little, I liked Vango the lion from Zoobly Zoo.
Right, yeah.
And I liked the Cowardly Lion, even though it kind of scared me.
No, I think that the thing of being cat.
Lion-O was like a... Like
yeah, I think the thing of being a cat is a plus for most people, and like cat videos are the number one thing on the like. I don't care. I don't like cat videos. I don't care about like I never had a cat when I was a kid, so I think maybe I'm like it's me, not them. But like to me, it being cats might have been the deciding factor of me not getting in on it as a toy. But when I did American Barbarian, that was kind of my entry in the genre of like 80s sword and sorcery, like cartoon kind of stuff. That was my entry in the genre. And when I revisited this stuff, like I thought, okay, let me watch He-Man, because I didn't like it when I was a kid, but maybe I was just gonna, you have your opinions when you're a kid. And I watched it and I was like, no, this is as bad as I thought it was. But then ThunderCats was like so much better than I even remembered. And there's like like I have the DVD set of like season 1 or whatever. There's a million episodes. they're like sort of discrete adventures, but they do kind of like run one into the other. Like it's got a nice continuity. Again, the world building's great. The animation's beautiful.
The animation is incredible. I had always assumed it was like from like Japan.
Right, because it does.
I didn't realize it was developed in America, and
because it followed not too long after Voltron.
Yeah,
because Voltron came around, and it kind of like that Cat's Lair or whatever, like their castle is called, kind of looks like a little.
Also, the creator is from Pittsburgh.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Wolf. I think his name is Wolf. The guy that developed the show is
that's interesting.
Is from Pittsburgh.
Yeah, you think of these things as sort of crassly created in a boardroom, but then it's like no. Sometimes it is like somebody who's like super passionate and bringing, and so there were elements of that in He-Man, and then with this, it's like my understanding is like, I guess it's this guy you're talking about from Pittsburgh, but that there was somebody who was like, this was like their baby, this was like their dream project, and then they kind of.
I knew because like Lina was like, Panthro, have you ever tried French fries on a sandwich?
Like sort of like the thunder, like that transformation is so great with the sword. The Mumra transformation is great. How he goes from this like creaky mummy to this like super pharaoh.
I love transformation, so I love that Mumra could level up.
Yeah. And then the Thunder Tank, the way it kind of opens up and stuff. And I remember playing that too, like doing the ThunderCats, or Sword of Omens, give me sight beyond sight.
We had the Masters of the Universe sword, and I would do the Thundercat, hold it up to your face. And I love that you could like look.
Well, from like the Satanic Panic point of view, again, that's why like He-Man caught some Satanic Panic energy, like it caught some Satanic Panic heat, but it's like so not satanic. Like it's not satanic enough. It needed it's like too. It's like
Thundercats should have like.
Yeah, Thundercats would seem like they slipped under
the radar.
Maybe because they were, but because the Mumra thing, like, and that sequence,
hardcore.
like, it's like it seems like pretty satanic, like, and that's why I liked it.
That's great in my book.
Sword of Omens, like, and again, like I know what an omen is, and this, but then you had like the movie The Omen, so it kind of seems like so even the good guy is involved with Damien or something, from The Omen. I never caught during like when I watched it as a kid, but like watching the DVDs and being able to watch all the episodes in order, that like Lion-O starts out in episode 1 as a kid. Like he's a little kid, and then they're going through hyperspace or whatever, and they go in the sleep chamber, and then when he wakes up, he's aged. So now he's that like muscled like superhero, but he's still got the brain of a kid. I never caught that. Like I never saw that episode, so that was never a thing to me. That like, oh, he's like a kid in the body of a superhero, like Captain Marvel or something. Like I never caught that, so I just thought, oh, he's a superhero or whatever. Yeah. But that's part of his arc, is that he's a kid in the body of a superhero who's like learning to be this legendary hero.
Realize that.
Yeah, because like if you don't see that first episode, which again, these Saturday morning it was like an afternoon cartoon for me. It was never on Saturday morning. But when you watch these things, like how often are you watching all of them in order? Because you would never look at that guy and be like, oh, well, that's a little kid inside. And there's never like a moment where they're like, I was just a little. It felt like I was just a child a moment ago, but then I woke up and now I'm this He-Man. Like now I'm Arnold Schwarzenegger.
I poo-pooed in my.
Oh, he's never thrown a tantrum or something.
He's got a hat with a propeller on.
Yeah, right. Yeah, he's never got like a big lollipop or something. Like that feels like a little more He-Man, because He-Man was like they keep reminding you that he's this like wimpy nerd on the inside. The stories were really good, but like watching it, it's because like there'll be like a story where he's like inside some cave that's got a giant spider and he's caught up in the web and he's got to fight. Like it's like all this like awesome sword and sorcery kind of stuff, and then it kind of grinds to a halt for me when they meet the Robo-Burbles or whatever they're called. There's those like robot teddy bears. They're Ewoks basically, and they do the same thing that Ewoks do, where it's like, here's something you kids will really like, and it's like, no, boo, boo, no thank. Like it was kind of going on at a good clip, so I don't,
I love the logo. I love everything about. I love the like the title, like the whole package.
Do you know what happened to the ThunderCats? Because it seemed like it was going to revisit this stuff, and some of it's better than others. And ThunderCats might be the strongest entry in that genre. I mean, I do like Thundar the best, but Thundar didn't run. There's not very many Thundar episodes. I was kind of shocked how big just this season 1 set was. And then and you have like Black Star. There's like a couple different things in that genre, but I feel like ThunderCats was like the best realized one. Like, it really delivered.
I had a ThunderCats sleeping bag. I had a ThunderCats kite.
Don't you wish that like He-Man was as good as ThunderCats, or like the New Adventures of He-Man seems like it should be as good as ThunderCats, but it's not. Like ThunderCats was really, you know, firing on all cylinders. And so I wonder like what made it go away, because it does go away eventually. There's like a new ThunderCats comic coming out.
Oh wow.
And it like the pre-orders like broke all kinds of records and stuff. So there is this like really passionate fan base for it that has not gotten like enough.
There's
material,
properties that I see like still, you know, hanging around.
It is one of those rare instances where it's like the quality, like it's just it's just very, very good. Like talking about like what was the last toy you went all in, because again I was still buying toys. I didn't want to start a new thing with ThunderCats. I did have some Voltron toys, so I don't know where that lines up in the time. I guess Voltron does come after you know, like He-Man and Transformers and stuff.
I'm gonna keep it straight.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure that there was never like I might not have publicly like, you know, I was still like buying like toys, like I remember getting like Transformers Generation 2 when I was in like middle school, and like 5th grade I was still like getting the Beetlejuice line, or like I was just always.
But when you were in college, were you still buying toys? At the very least, college would be a time where you're like, okay, I'm done with that. So you never got, because see, for me, I got there, and I remember like, I don't know, I was maybe like 7th.
I just switched gears.
You switched gears
because it would be like
you probably
like the
switched over. That's what I was
going
going to say. Yeah,
that's I
you switched over to McFarlane. That was McFarlane came around at the right time, because that is exactly right. It's like, oh, I'm done with that kid stuff.
Yeah,
I'm getting McFarlane toys. You know,
because I would get like Movie Maniacs or like McFarlane's Monsters and stuff. That's what I would pick up.
Yeah, see, I'd like admire the McFarlane stuff, but I didn't pick. I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna pick. But I did admire it from afar. What was like a toy line? What would be like the toy line you were into right before you started doing McFarlane though? Because it like. Did you buy the Aliens toys?
Oh yeah,
like that would be one.
Oh, I mean, I remember in elementary school, I'd bring all my Aliens figures in like a shoebox, and
yeah, see, that's pretty cool.
I'm getting the Terminator 2 figures. Basically, like the Kenner. If it's in a Kenner Action toy guide, those are what I was like dealing in elementary school, like the Beetlejuice line.
The Beetlejuice stuff, yeah, because it's like I never bought the real Ghostbusters. I did get into Mask. I only got the Condor. I did dip my toe in this new line, and I just couldn't resist. Like, it was a low price point. I think it was like $7, but you got this cool little motorcycle and the helmet and stuff. So I got that. I never went beyond that. And then the Muscle figure.
Muscle, love those.
I was into Muscle. I had the garbage can of them and stuff. But then when they went from the pink rubber, which was very, very fun, and when they went to like the different colors, and the rubber was like a little waxier and stuff, then I left there. The Supernaturals,
love the Supernaturals,
was another like, and again, when I saw that gimmick, I'm like, I need to be in on this. So I did get a few of the Supernaturals. Supernaturals might have been like the last toy line that I got into. I liked the Power Rangers show. I watched it. I enjoyed it. But I never got any of the toys.
Me neither. Yeah. I think that's the one where
that was like the cutoff point for me. And again, for me, it was like a guilty pleasure. I was like, okay, I know this show sucks and it's stupid and I'm way too old for it, but these fight scenes are amazing.
Awesome.
They are amazing, you know.
I was like, show my dad like the martial arts on there and be like, hey, look at this. This is, and he'd be like, this is, you know, trying to like, this is an action movie.
Trying to sell him on it.
Sell him on it.
And I am fortunate that I was able to sort of look past like the snobbishness. Like, you'd never seen fighting like that on American television ever.
It was great.
Like, I don't remember ever seeing anything like that. This like high energy, high octane combat. And then later learning that, oh yeah, like those fight scenes were done for a completely different show. All that stuff that I hated about Power Rangers was like added on to like kind of, you know, talk down to you.
It was just like one era after the other. Like I never like took a break from the toys. I would be like getting Star Wars Micro Machines. Then I was like, then Power of the Force was happening and Transformers G2. And then high school comes along. It was like I said, McFarlane Movie Maniacs, Monsters, Spawn. Like I kept rolling with it.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I kind of keep my eye on like new toys and what was going on, but I don't know.
My brother's friend's dad was a Toys R Us manager.
Oh,
So
nice.
during like Scouts, I'd have my toy fair and I'd be like, could you hold these Power of the Force figures? He would like get the ones I would want.
When Power of the Force came out, that was like the closest, that was like the most tempted I was to like buy a toy, just waiting for Star Wars to come back, and it came back. You know what, I do realize a toy, the thing that made me like start getting into toys again was when they reissued the Tron toys.
Oh yeah.
Nika came out with, and even those reissues are like huge. Like the price of those is like huge. But they reissued the Tron toys from my childhood. I was obsessed with Tron. I'm still obsessed with Tron. And I did not have enough Tron toys when I was a kid. I had Flynn and I had Sark. I had the yellow light cycle with the ripcord. My cousin took my Flynn figure, threw it in the air, and it landed and cracked. Like the plastic body cracked on it. So I was, you know, so that was it. So I just had Sark and a light cycle for all these years. I would take my my Return of the Jedi Luke Skywalker and I would tape pieces of paper to him where I would draw like the Tron symbols and stuff to make him into a Tron figure. But so in I guess like, I don't know, the late 90s, early 2000s, when they reissued the Tron stuff, I was all in on that. I had to get that. So I think that was what broke like the drought of like not getting toys.
Oh, another, we had mentioned this before, but another drought was the episode 1 toy line where it was just, there's just too much product and I had to like call it quits for a little while there.
Yeah, you had to pump the brakes.
Pump the brakes. I was like, I like toy lines where I could at least theoretically collect everything in the line. And there was like no way that could happen, so I was like, forget it.
But yeah, ThunderCats, just like super cool.
Super awesome.
Still no temptation to get into the toys. Like even now, like, I'm not like, oh, I want to get the lion out.
I just think they were a weird size. They were just like, I think when I was little, they felt like they were heavier than I was. Like they were like life size or some weird size.
It might be one of those weird, like, where they got the equation wrong. It's like they had shitty toys but an awesome show, you know?
Yeah.
Where like He-Man had awesome toys but a shitty show. So I guess I'd rather have, you know, like a good show and then like not so great toys. Like there was never a ThunderCats video game or anything.
I don't recall that. No.
Kind of fell between the cracks. I think it was maybe it was kind of like the boy band thing or something, where like if you show up like too late in the like it might have showed up a little too late in the life cycle of like, you know, Cartoon Barbarian kind of shows.
Yeah, I don't want to insult ThunderCats to call them like the candle box of the grunge scene or whatever, but like like when I was little, I had no desire really for the toys. I was just like into the world of it.
Yeah.
And I would have, in my play was almost as much He-Man as it was ThunderCats. Like that music, I would, when it would come on, I would like
great theme song,
get pumped up and
great music, great setup. How great is Panthro as like this sort of mentor?
Great.
And then you have Jaga, who is like this like sort of Obi-Wan Kenobi, like the ghost that he talks about. Like I loved how the world kept expanding and expanding, and then I loved that it was Third Earth. So it's like, what's that mean? Is this like, okay, everybody left Earth and went to like a second planet, and then everybody left that planet and went to, is it third, or is it that Earth is the third planet in the solar system, so they just call it third. Like how did we get to this? You know, that was real evocative. But they had their formula, their ThunderCats formula, and then they duplicated it to death. Because then they had Silverhawks, which I loved. Silverhawks,
I was just thinking about that.
But it was like a clone. It's the same number of syllables. ThunderCats, Silverhawks, and then they had the villain Monstar, who would be like one way in the beginning, and then he'd like he had this like eye patch with like a hole in it. And he'd like expose it to like a red sun or whatever, and then he'd become this like this red robot.
The Silverhawks toy line is mythical to me because I never owned any of the Silverhawks.
Yeah, me neither. Yeah.
And I would like go to the store and see the commercials, and they would have
were chrome, and they're like
they'd go up like that, and I was like, it was just it's still extra special. Yeah, because I never like.
See, I would be more interested in getting my hands on a Silverhawk than a ThunderCat, and then even though I'm more interested in the cartoon like of ThunderCats, Silverhawks like ThunderCats is like that, you know, sword and laser. Silverhawks is like pure space opera. Yeah, it's like pure. So like I wasn't as interested in that. Then there was Tiger Sharks. Look for a spaceship with a sail and hold on, Tiger Sharks. And same syllables, Tiger Sharks. But it was, and so it was like one too many. I don't even know if Tiger Sharks toys ever came around.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, Tiger Sharks, and so it's like aquatic, and it's like, okay, I love ThunderCats. Silverhawks, it's just space, not as interested. And then Tiger Sharks, just water, way not interested, you know.
You know how in the commercials when they do the toys, there's like extra special like play set.
Right, they're playing in a backyard that's like all terraced.
And like, or like you drive the car and it skids and knocks like stuff over. Mm-hmm. I remember in elementary school, we watched a film strip that pointed that out. Okay. I don't know what it was. But
it was probably some kind of like consumer protection kind of thing of like, look, you think you're getting the toy and you're going to have this whole setup with it, but it's just the toy.
So the film strip gave me the idea that I'm like, okay, well, now I know what I need to do to like build it up on my own.
Yeah.
So with the G.I. Joes, we built like, we tried to recreate like the look of the commercial. Mm-hmm. We had sticks to make this bridge.
I remember for the Return of the Jedi toys, they'd have a bunch of like mini logs set up to like roll down so that the AT-ST would like trip on them and stuff.
In like the Batman Dark Knight collection commercial, there's like water on an awning that falls and like makes the Joker's face turn color. But like we had our G.I. Joes, and my dad had a VHS camcorder, and we did the thing where we had Brute cologne. And we poured it on there to try to like do a like Apocalypse Now, like burning the bridge, but it burned clear. It didn't like we didn't really get to see the flames, but we tried to do like we're gonna blow up this bridge.
You could get a cool effect with that though of like the haze, you know, where it like
it did do that. Yeah,
that's awesome. Yeah, great memories talking about ThunderCats. I have the season 1. I never watched it completely to the end. I'm kind of curious where it goes. I'm curious if there's like a final episode. Well, like we kind of talked about like, oh, is there a final episode of He-Man? Not really. Yeah. Is it like, I want to see like is there a final episode that kind of ties it up in a bow, you know?
It was just funny that you mentioned that how, you know, the He-Man cartoon being a thumbs down. Yeah. Like I remember getting like Best of He-Man in like 2002, and like I don't know what was going on where I was like up all night, and I'm like, I'm gonna throw on this He-Man, and it made me like kind of sick to my. I was like,
yeah, it's so not good. Like I started watching it again. Let me give it another look, and like it's just it still sucks. It sucks from the first episode. The one thing that I will say in its favor, like the backgrounds are beautiful.
They look great.
Like the background paintings and stuff. They're these like amazing that could only be made in the 80s. These like color choices and stuff, really phenomenal. But yeah, the stories.
To me, the He-Man like lore too is from those books.
Yeah.
That my mom would like read to me. I had them all like.
Yeah, everything is so good except for the cartoon. We'll see you next time.